Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and as usual, I am so glad that you could keep our appointment. And I am so glad that tonight's guest, who really is no stranger to Office Hours with Dr. G, Kevin Barringer, agreed to come and have a conversation with me. Now, for those who don't know him, Kevin Barringer is the founder of Real Nagas and Know Your Rights Foundation, also known as Magus N-eye-N. He began as a Christian, but finding inconsistencies and contradictions in the church and the Bible as a child, he prayed to God of the universe to show him the truth no matter what it was. Soon afterwards, he was introduced to alternative knowledge through a book called New World Order by Ralph Epperson. This began his 25-year path of extensive research and study into a multitude of topics, from ancient world, Moorish history, secret societies and symbolism, movie symbolism, the Khemetan mystical metaphysical sciences such as alchemy, astrology, science of melanin, political sciences and world governance, esoteric fitness and nutrition, and Aboriginal and constitutional and police stop law. Kevin's mission is to pass on the information the universe has entrusted within him to help restore, elevate, and evolve the consciousness of all melanated people and the world as a whole. And as I said, he is absolutely no stranger to Office Hours with Dr. G, and therefore it is my esteemed privilege and honor to have my friend and brother Kevin Barringer here with me to just have a updated conversation on what's going on in his world. Help me welcome back to Office Hours with Dr. G, Kevin Barringer of Real Nagas. Hey there.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, that's me.
Break it down.
Got a little.
Break it down. Let me see you.
Yeah. Really? You just gave me this boost. You just let me know that I have all this energy and I'm alive and don't worry about my age.
That's right.
So I'm gonna act
right.
like I'm
That is absolutely right. You get on up there. Let me see you break it down.
That's about as far as it gets broken down. That's about as far as it goes right now. But I want to say again, thank you for almost always, whenever I have asked you or pulled on you, or called upon you to come on the broadcast, on the platform, you are always, willing and able to come and share. You got your own platform, you got your own stuff happening. You got Know Your Rights Foundation and teaching folks police stop law and all that stuff. You teaching folks with fitness, and you do a lot of things that we don't even talk about. So the reason why I told you that I didn't call this, I don't like to give you any topics per se. I'll say something like Return of the Dragon War or something, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
You be handicapping me, girl. You be handicapping me.
No, actually, I'm giving you freedom.
I'm just messing.
Listen, y'all, it's not enough for y'all on here yet. Come on, hit that like and share, subscribe if you have not. Let somebody else know that doesn't know that Brother Kevin is on Office Hours, and it's always a powerful segment when he's on. So share, like, come on, subscribe. Let's fill this up. Let's get 1,000 of you in here. I know 1,000 will have seen it by tomorrow, but it would be wonderful if you get to see it live. You can ask some questions. So again, I am, like I said, you always have something going on. You're always, it's almost like you got your finger on the pulse of what's going on a global scale. And so you don't mince your words. You sit there and you have your cell phone in front of you, whatever. You got your little notes on there. I don't know what you got, but you be going down the things like, we're gonna talk about that, and then you be telling them, and
just a bullet point, that's all. And then
that's what I'm figuring. So I said you want to know, like, I remember I want to talk about this, that, and the third. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. We right now we trying to confuse the algorithm.
Yeah,
The algorithm. How
That's
about
right.
that? We're not
That's
even
right.
gonna call it what it is. So so they don't
Yeah.
want to get funky with us because we need that opportunity.
That's why you see me talking code all the time. I'm always talking in code.
Right. And I'm learning. And sometimes I may have a guest on that I haven't had an in-depth conversation with them enough to they know when I'm trying to and it's not that I'm afraid of the truth. It's just that I want the platform to stay up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's what you should be. Is that the platform is very important to the community. So you need to balance it out on how you bring the information to people. So yeah, you need to mind how the information comes out.
For real. I mean, and I don't know if we're gonna get there, to the place where we be able to have actually, our own. So, but until we get there, we're gonna have to do like the alleged.
Allegedly,
allegedly they did back in the day when they were singing them songs. allegedly,
you gotta throw that in there.
I'm saying, the reason why it's funny, for all my life. Look, I feel accurate. Who said that?
Oh yeah, all my life I had to fight. All my life.
But all my, for the better part of my existence, I have believed, and we have believed certain things, and facts. This is true, and this is this, and then to have such belief busters, such as the possibility that maybe the story of the Underground Railroad and some other folks, was fabricated and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Things that we have, like, okay, yeah, we know they make up certain things, but not that. That's our story. We clung to that.
Sure, that's why they knew. That's why they gave it to you, because they knew you would cling to it.
Right, only to find out, like, all these years later, that the whole the majority of our existence is a movie.
Yes,
is a performance. And you know what? I'm gonna grab something, and I'm gonna, at one point when you're gonna be speaking, and I'm gonna put you solo, so I can walk over there and pick up something that I want to share, because it's on the same tip of what I was just saying about the movie thing, but just from a metaphysical standpoint, because we don't talk, you and I haven't discussed that a lot, because your base of knowledge and interest is so broad, Brother Kevin, that we don't get it all in one segment. So even when you think about that they've created this movie, I'm always wondering if that's the case, and if we are these sleeping gods or something, or whatever. What is our role? Because I remember I wrote something that's over there, and I was digging through a whole bunch of stuff and found this notepad with this what I had written about scripting your life.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell people that they can create their own reality. They don't have to go along to get along and be a part of some. But I think for most people, it's okay if that's true. The how do we do that and bypass the deception that we've been living under, the movie that they've created, for as long as probably this kind of technology has been in existence, even radio. We go back to War of the Worlds on the radio and Orson Welles, and you come to find out that a lot of things that we've wrapped our I don't want to say, our minds around, Star Wars, Lucas, this one, that one. All of these have been men who have been fed information to create, this illusion and fantasy, call it a movie, and then tell on themselves in a movie called The Truman Story, and then say it's not true. And let's talk about that a little bit before we get, because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Right. Well, the fake movie that we're in, that they've created for us.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's it's the greatest thing ever told, and once they created again, so we go back and I do wordplay and I do etymology.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
And stuff like that. So
solo for a minute. Go ahead.
So like like the word glamour and grammar are the same word. So
wow,
like it means actually the word glamour came first. It came from the word grimoire.
I was getting ready to ask you if there was any connection with grimoire.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to ask if there was any connection thing.
That's exactly where it's from. The grimoire, which is the magical book of spells. Right. So grammar, the actual definition of grammar is the magical enchantment of words. So, if they can get you, and this is where then if I can take these words and I can place them to pictures, moving pictures, and then, this is where the spell starts to happen. I can, speak it, then you see it, and then it starts to manifest in your mind. And they understood that they would be able to reshape society through movies. And this whole illusion that they've brought us into, getting us to think that first of all just wiping away the history that we had, then disconnecting us from any knowledge, any type of information that can reconnect us to that, and getting us to think that we were always the subservient and the slave, and they were always the masters. And so when you have that and you keep perpetuating that, ultimately it starts to take root into the younger society, the younger people in society, and then it just starts to perpetuate itself. So for us, it has to start with knowing yourself. You have to know who you are first within this whole world. This is the scam that they've put on the world. They've hidden the history of who we actually are, which takes your power away. If you don't understand who you are, if you're not deep rooted in your history, you don't understand where you're going. You don't understand where you are, and better yet, where you're going. So with that movement, that's just a very simple understanding, of science, psychological science. If I can take you away from your history and disconnect you, then you're like you're just a boat in the wind, out on the water in the wind, just being able to be swayed by any small breeze anywhere. So this is where this comes to. So getting us out of this part, it has to come with information. It has to come with reconnecting with who you are, because reconnecting with who you are also comes with not just information, but it comes with connection to land. Because if we were the indigenous or the Aboriginal people in the world, that connects you legally to land. And so when you start to understand that, this is why they disconnected us from that. This is why they started to make themselves be the Aboriginals or the Native Americans and stuff like that. Because if you start when you start to understand your true title, your name, and Dr. Henry Clark said this. He says your name connects you to land. And this is why they take your name away from you, because they want to disconnect you from the land. So getting back to who we are, we have to start to reconnect, first of all, who we are, which reconnects us to what we used to have, and then also to what we can gain in the future. So that, to me, which is why I created Real Nagas, is to, you say, well, I'm all over the place. Yeah, I'm all over the place because they got us locked up. They got so much disinformation out there that we don't know where to come from. So you have to tackle all of that information from all sides. And so, this is why, I tackle it from the spiritual side, from the legal side, because that's what has us. We're behind enemy lines. Like, you're behind enemy lines. This is not your this is not your country. This is a country that they didn't want us to be in the first place. They tried to damn us to keep us out of it, or to keep us. We built it, but they tried their damnedest to keep us out of it, out of the decision making part of it. But then once we got into that, they were like, oh shit, they're better skilled than we are. Oh shit, so we can't let that happen. So then they started to take us down within society. We were all, us being let into society, we were already second class citizens, but us being together, us not being let within their inner circles, forced us to work together. This is what we lost. it forced us to work together, and we were able to create massive communities through this. They looked at that and saw, oh shit, we messed up by not letting them in. We forced them to work together and develop their, the power within themselves. So
look what we done brought. Yeah.
Yep.
So desegregation was really a negative for us. We thought we were getting, those who thought they were getting a leg up, and really you were going down several notches, because to integrate, if you will, into that society meant to take a lower status.
Exactly.
Because we let you in. Yep. So therefore we can define your place in our society, not remembering all along that this was our society, our land, our roots. And that these former indentured servants and the poor and their downtrodden and their criminals who had come over here because they were throwaways. From the folks that look like us, that were not us, from other places, who sent that over here.
Right? Yeah, the first Caucasians over here were slaves. See, they came over here.
And they were sent, is it true that they were sent by melanated Moors from across the water who were in charge? A lot of them, when you look at who was the aristocracy and the royalty, from my research, they look like us. So
well, when you're talking about the royalty, they're descended. They were descended from us. But at that time in the ruling, you're talking about more so in the past. Around that time, they were still more of the Caucasian, more, not even Caucasian, more descendants of the people who are royal in Europe are actually Jews or Khazars, and so
Khazarians.
And so but the only reason they're able to be royal is because they can trace their lineage back to Moors. So that's the only reason they're like, even like the Queen of England, she traces her lineage back to Saxe-Coburg. You go look up the what is the heraldry, the signal, what is the I call it, it's not a logo, but I can't remember the name. The crest. Like the family crest for Saxe-Coburg. It's a Moor. It's a super dark skin, look like me, with a brother with hoop earrings, with big old lips. That's their family. So that's their family lineage. So you have to be able to trace your family back to be royal. But at that time, when they were shipping people over here, that was the corporations. So corporations, East India Corporation and all those different corporations, they were chartered to. So when most people, this is what most people think about when they think about the colonies and all that came over here. They think, oh, these were just nice settlers who got up and they wanted to live in the new world, and they got up and they packed up. No, these were corporations. Jamestown, Virginia Company, all these are corporations, and sent their
people over here.
Right, because as a royal, if I'm exploring new worlds, why would I send just regular people over there? I'm going to send people. I'm trying to make money. This is an enterprise. I'm going to send my best corporations from over here to develop corporations for the kingdom over there. So that's what that was. And so most people don't understand that when they started doing that, there was a lot of people in Britain, a lot of what they call vagabonds in Britain, and so they would throw them in jail. Like if you were homeless, or you were a peasant or something like that, they created rules that you could, like, even just lounging in the street created jail time. But they created that because they were sending people to the new world. So they would say, all right, we're gonna throw you in jail. You got to spend time in it, or you can take your ass to the new world. And how about that? And set up in one of the colonies. So if you say jail, if you say a cage or new world, most of them people took the new world, but they came over here as indentured servants, but they were really slaves. And so, but when they came over here, they saw the all the resources and everything we had, and they had to start to co-opt that for themselves.
Let me ask this. Could we interject? When you said that, what came to mind is the story in the Bible about the two spies that were sent to survey the land or the 10 rather, that were sent to survey the land that was flowing with milk and honey. And what they said was, the grapes are like this and this is that, but we are grasshoppers in their sight, so now the story makes sense to me. And it also ties in with, Jack and the Beanstalk and some of those other, because you talked about grimoires and different things. Now, OMG.
Jack and the Beanstalk,
Oh, my. Now it just like all of a sudden I just had one of those kapooey, you know how you remember with Batman, the cartoon. And
it goes, kapow, kabloom,
kabloom. I just had a cloud burst of, oh my goodness, that's all of that tied into that.
And so all of that is tied into that. Plus, when you were saying about you going back to segregation, you were talking about segregation and how taking away segregation was actually bad, or integration, which is integration, was actually bad for us, because again, we had all of the skills, like, when they were around, when we were in those as indentured servants before we became slaves, before slavery was legal, everybody was indentured servants. Then there was a Bacon's Rebellion where the white indentured servants and the melanated indentured servants, they got together and took out the ruling class for about 10 months in Jamestown. And so then the ruling class called the bourgeois. That's where you get the word bougie. So the bourgeois class, they looked at that and they were like, oh, the niggas and the white people got together. Oh, we got to take that shit and fuck that. So they were like, forget that. So they got together and they devised this plan to separate. This is where you get white. This is where you get white. Where the term white man came from, because after that they did a campaign of white privilege, and so they started to put everywhere, don't you want to be white man and this and that. So they started to poster it, put it everywhere in town, and they started to change the white indentured servants. They elevated them slightly in status to say, okay, you're labor. What they call them, they call them something labor. Instead of indentured servants, they became something labor. And so that elevated them slightly over the melanated people, which they thought, so that gave them a little bit of prestige. And so they were able to become foreman and watch over the melanated indentured servants. So this is where you started to get a separation of white privilege over, that started to come around.
Well, how does that compare though to the indigenous people that were here that were not slaves, were not indentured?
Well, yeah, right. So this is, man, slavery. This is where you get, slavery is so vast and conflict. Everybody was involved with slavery. Like, there was nobody who didn't have slavery. no society who didn't. When slavery was a major enterprise, there was nobody who didn't indulge in it. So, that includes the Africans who sold other Africans into slavery. That also includes the indigenous Aboriginals here, or the Aboriginals over here, who also, they warred against each other, captured each other, and then sold each other into different Aboriginal nations. So that we were doing that. So when the colonies came over here, we just got involved with that too. So then there were a ruling class of Aboriginals, and then a subclass of Aboriginals. So the ruling class of Aboriginals, they worked with the colonies and they traded slaves. They were back and forth. Those ruling Aboriginals were known as free non-whites. So this is when you get to the census of 1790. This is where they started to take away our titles, our status in the census of 1790. So they took it in 1790. Basically, what they did is they went to the Aboriginal nations and they started to take a survey, and they were like, "Yo, what is your religion?" And so, because they had been missionaries already in these different, these different, I don't like to call them tribes. Tribe is a subservient name. Tribe comes from the word tributary, so it means that you are subservient. So we were actually nations. So they went around. They were teaching these nations, Christianity with the Bible. And so at some point in time, when they took the census, they would come in and they would ask them if they were Christian. What was your religion? If they said Christian, then they marked the Aboriginals down in their demographic, in their census, as mulatto, or different titles. So, but that didn't mean anything to us because that was their book. Because we was like, we don't care what you mark us down in your. But then there was something called it's like the something ordinance in the 1700s. I can't remember that. It's it was a something ordinance. Basically, what it was is where the colonies got together and they were like, you know what? We need land. The the Aboriginals got the land. We about to go move them. And they just on some GP, they just jumped up and said, yo, y'all got to bounce. And they just started to what is that name of it? It's like the Western Ordinance or something like that. What they called the West though was just like, it was more so like the Midwest. They called, but that at that time they were called the West. So they tried to move all the Native Americans off the land. So when they came to the nations, they said you could stay on the land if you claim that you were if you change your name to one of their names. So if you tried to keep your Native American name, you had to bounce. So this is where you get the Trail of Tears and all that stuff. When all that came from, when they had to move, they move all the Native Americans from Georgia to Oklahoma. And so they were moved, but you got to stay if you claim, basically, if you became a part of their society, you got to stay. So this is why a lot of our history got lost. And we were telling our history in stories. This is why you get Big Mama and them be like, yeah, we were Native American, or you get I got Indian in my family. Why? Because those stories they travel throughout our history because we were able to tell them in story. But if you claimed Native American, they would remove you from the land. So this is how they were able to start taking hold of our land, reclassifying us. But then they just came in and gangstered us. They came in and gangstered us, and the Seminoles fought back twice. But the Seminoles fought. They tried to move the Seminoles. The Seminoles like, nah. And so the Seminoles they fought back. But then they got more people, came back and fought the Seminoles again, and the Seminoles lost and had to give up Florida. But this is where you start to see us losing all of the land.
So we of course we know about the Doss rolls, and we know that was created. But so was that an attempt? Well, what it was an attempt to do. But where did the people who became what we call the $5 Indians? Where did they come? The ones that they had on reservations, and they put on reservations and gave them these tribal names and so forth. Where did those people come? Were they on the land, but they were just others people on the land, or did they come from Alaska or somewhere? Some say, or
no. You got. I'm telling you, it is the history with the colonies and the Aboriginals is crazy. So, the Dawes roll. So basically, if you understand, like you'll see on TV, you'll see cowboys and Indians where they always fight. That wasn't always the case. The Native Americans were in a lot of we had a lot of treaties with that government. So a lot of the colonies and the Native Americans, they actually worked with each other, for business purposes a lot. So and a lot of them would intermingle with different tribes. So one of the colonists, like if they were especially high up, they would be adopted into the Aboriginal tribe. Like Elias Boudinot was the president of back then, and he was adopted into the Wyandot Nation. And so the Wyandot chief called Elias Boudinot his son, and Elias Boudinot called the chief his father, the chief of the Wyandot Nation. He said, "My father." I got a book of correspondence from.
Where did Elias Boudinot originate from? Who was he? What was his?
He's a European. He was descended from the Europeans.
Okay.
But because the Aboriginals and the colonists, they were in such connection.
They worked together, yeah.
Yeah, they worked together. A lot of, like I said, they would be adopted into the tribe. Like Phil Jackson, just to give you a reference, Phil Jackson he's adopted into the Lakota Nation. Like, so he's not a Native American, but they adopted him into the Lakota.
Who is Phil Jackson?
Y'all don't know Phil Jackson?
I don't know. They might know. I don't know.
Phil Jackson, the coach of the Bulls and the Lakers.
Okay, basketball.
Phil Jackson. So but he's the spooky hippie dude. So I just gave you that for reference. So that's what would happen back. That's what would happen back in the day. So then, we were when we would own a lot of land. They created certain laws to take the land from us after our parents died. So there was like in Oklahoma. After they moved everybody from Atlanta to Oklahoma, and this is where you see a lot of, they say, in the trail. So that's the Trail of Tears. But once they got to Oklahoma, the land that we had, so they had reserved a lot of land. And the reason they got the land in Oklahoma was because they were Native Americans. So this is where you get the Black Wall Street and all that. Black Wall Street people, that wasn't Black Wall Street. It was Native American Wall Street, really, because they got the land because they were Aboriginal Americans. That's the reason. That's the whole reason they got that land. But but when the people would die, when the Aboriginals would die, the Caucasians created a law that said if you had a child, and they were gonna inherit the land. They made a law that said your child had to have a Caucasian guardian who was in charge of the land and who could reap the benefit from the land.
No, hold up. Wait a minute. That seems to be the same thing that's in effect today when they say that we are minorities, or minorities incapable of handling our own affairs. So that's
illegal. Y'all people got to understand, these are legal terms that keep you out of making decisions. A minority is not of legal competency to contract. That's what a minor and a minority, the same thing. Not of legal age to contract. Excuse me. So when the Aboriginal parents would die off and would leave the land to the kid would have a Caucasian guardian who took the land and was reaping the benefit off the land. So then eventually they would steal the land from the kid. They would transfer the land over to his own family. And this is how they started losing a lot of. I mean, they was like
like looking up into the sky, going, "This is bullshit." We know just like
bullshit.
I mean, what?
Great bull crap. Do you understand? I mean, you die. You got a son. Your son is 13, so he can't really. So he's not of legal age. They say, "Oh, your son is 13. How about Mr. Watson, Mr. Brett Watson comes over and he's your son's guardian. He can because Mr. Brett Watson, he understands land and all this and that. So he's going to take care of the land. He's going to cultivate it for your son. But because he's doing that, he gets to reap benefits on the land himself." And so that was the deal. They stole so much land like that. It's insane. So this is where,
well, okay. So I mean, now it makes sense, and I see. I mean, that's also it, because I'm a former pastor. I'm always thinking in terms of things I learned in the Bible and stuff. And so I remember the thing about in the Bible where there was, if a child was underage, they would have to have that guardian, and that guardian would pretty much do everything and have the control over everything. But this was allegedly till they reached a certain age, which makes sense. They probably killed a lot of parents while the children were under a certain age, so that they could then take that position of guardianship over them, and then take the land.
So if you do the breakdown of the word legally, so minority leads to minor. This is why y'all have to start really choosing the titles and words you use for yourself. Minority goes to minor. Minor goes to infant. And then infant, it says in there, an infant doesn't differ from a lunatic. So yes, it says an infant does not.
We call our babies infants.
Yeah. Go look up in the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Please go trace the word minority. Then it goes to minor. Then it goes to, it says look up infant. Then it'll give the French word infans, and it'll say or the Latin word infans, and you'll look up that word, and then it'll say an infant does not differ much from a lunatic. It says that right there. So when you call yourself a minority, you're legally saying you're a lunatic. That's what you're saying. You're saying you're crazy to the court. They know that. You don't. This is why it's very important. So yeah, when they put these titles on us legally so that they keep they can keep us at a certain position, in the subclass position, the second class citizen position. If you knew these things, you would shirk these titles off of yourself and raise yourself above, like the term white. Most people don't know anybody can call themselves white. Yeah. That's not that ain't got nothing to do with your skin tone. That is a legal designation that they created. And since 1960, anybody in America can call themselves white legally. Anyone. Or whatever you want to be. You can put, when they do that census, you can put down whatever the hell you want. It says self-identification. Literally, when you write it down, it says self-identification.
That's in the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous people to self-identify.
You need to tell me who you are. I can't, if I don't know. But if you don't say nothing, then I'm gonna say, I'm gonna assume this.
Because that's what they did. They went around to households and the census takers and declared people black or colored or whatever the going phrase was at that time. The census takers did that.
Yes, they did. And see, with that also, when they do that, that's where you get the redlining from. See, redlining and that stuff comes from the census. So when they can say, oh, this many melanated people live in this area, well, we're gonna cut off the funding. That's when they can redline that, take a little circle and redline it around that area, because all y'all in that area called yourself niggas or black or whatever it was.
And on top of that, not only would it be a funding differential, but they would be a difference in what you would pay. For instance, I used to be, when I retired, I was the director of the Department of Real Estate and Housing for the city here. And so with redlining, I remember seeing a documentary at one of our conferences about why so-called politically they did the redlining, but it also affects insurance rates and different things, who could go into what neighborhoods to actually purchase housing. They created a lot of the housing for where we lived in and squared it off, flat roofs and so forth. And then they put a provision on that, even to this day, because I'm dealing with it, flat roofs are uninsurable, but we really shouldn't have been under flat roofs anyway. We needed that. We needed to have they took away our ability, the energy to do what it do. They put us in a box.
Yes.
And then they penalized us for it. Then they went through neighborhoods. I remember in the early 60s when they went through my neighborhood and created I-95, and they tore thousands, hundreds of homes, maybe thousands, were destroyed. And I-95 came right through the community. And then, certain things, you were here or you were there, and they segmented us. And then you got different areas got different privileges.
That's right.
And so all of that with redlining, they literally have real estate agents knew and had maps with the red lines drawn, and they wouldn't take people certain people into certain areas because they might even have clauses that says that they put a clause in the deed restrictions. That's what they were called, deed restrictions, where melanated people couldn't purchase a house in that area. We still got some of the books here, right?
Yep.
And so the redlining. So and that goes on all over.
All over.
The so-called
happens because of the census, though. That if you weren't able to if you didn't call yourself melanated, they would never know who the hell you were. If you didn't self-identify as this, and then they can take that paper and be like, dang, it's a gang of them all right here. let's just circle this off. They don't get no funding. They don't get any any government subsidies. They don't get any loans. They don't get nothing. Nothing comes through that little area. So this is the game, and this is the game that we're in. But if you're gonna, when you talk about going back to integration, and if you're going to join a system, that was keeping you out the whole time, literally tried to take you out and keep you out the whole time. Once you join the system, or once you are able to enter that system, don't just put your feet up on the couch like you got it made. Learn how the whole goddamn house works. So eventually you can take over the house, or at least take advantage of everything that goes on in the house. But again, we don't do that type of stuff. We got in there. We were so happy that they let us in the front door. Hey brother, you want to come on in here? Come on in here and sit up. You can sit in the corner. Sit right there in the corner. Don't move. Don't you say nothing. Don't breathe. Don't lift your hand. Just stay in the corner. That's what they did. They let us in the house and put us in the corner in our own house, though. That's the thing.
So let's go back to Oklahoma. So when we were the Trail of Tears, when we were, forced marched to the west, and we went west, the creation of what was called Black Wall Street happened because of the ingenuity, I guess, or you're saying of our people, that they took, the lemons and they made lemonade, which would mean they made a beautiful, they made a beautiful society for themselves, and had some level of they had respectability to the extent that there was anger and jealousy on the point of the Albion. So that like, did they leave us alone? And then when they came back to say, like, let's see how they are doing, and said, damn.
Well, no, you got to understand where the commerce is intermingled. They had been working with Europeans for the longest. You had the Dutch who came over here, the English, and you got all these different countries that come over here.
They were companies,
right. This company, so they've been working with these people for a long time. So then you develop different systems of trade. Then one of those systems of trade was slavery. The thing that I was talking about was it's called the Northwest Ordinance. So that's in the ancient past. So the Northwest Ordinance is when the colonies came in and they told all the Aboriginals, you got to get the fuck up off the land. Like, we need this land, buddy. Like, scoop. And they just moved them out. Some people went willingly, some people did not, and they fought and they didn't. And
today they call that because, like I said, I was in housing, eminent domain.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't.
So they kept it going.
Eminent domain is with their own citizens. We weren't their citizens. They just came. That's called stealing. That's called stealing.
But I'm saying, even today, like I said, in housing, we had to get some laws against eminent domain for something, because they was like, oh, we need that land for so. You got the business there, your family, whatever's there. Right. Nope, all of that's gone because
Basically, the same idea is but they stole it. They basically, because we weren't their citizens. They just came in, they needed the land for their colonies, and they just said, you got to move. This is the good land. Y'all can move over here. How about that? Y'all can move, but why don't y'all move over there? No, we need this land because this is the better land. So that's what happened.
Well, what made the rest of the group that decided to go get on the ships and go across to West Africa? What prompted that?
Well, no, a lot of the slavery was in reverse. When they talk about,
I'm saying, there were our people being sent over to create colonies or whatever nations over in West Africa, in Liberia, Monrovia, probably, Ghana and all that other stuff, anything around the west, around that west coast of Africa. There was a lot going in the opposite direction.
Absolutely. I mean, they need the land. So I'm gonna ship all the niggas off this part of the land. I'm gonna ship all over there. That's what Liberia was about. Right. Because Liberia, they, created by Caucasian American politicians, and saying, okay, well, we free y'all. You're not gonna stay here, right? Don't you want to go back to Africa? Yeah, you want to go back. We're gonna create a whole nice land for y'all. You can have your own land. Your own. Come on, man. Don't you want to go back to Africa? And so all the brothers was like, yeah, but this was their land. And this was your land. They got you taken off of your land and shipped over there. So that was the whole point, was the land grab. Because
who wrote that song? I remember that song we used to sing as a child. This land is your land.
This land is my land.
California.
Seriously. This land is your land.
They had us singing this. Yeah, we
gonna, hey, this is your land, but really,
it's my land.
It's my land. We just gonna call it your land. That's exactly what this is. So as long as we don't know that part, of it, that we have the straight rights to this land, and that's recognized all over the world. Indigenous people's rights are recognized all over the world with the United Nations Declaration of Indigenous Rights United Nations Declaration of Indigenous Rights, and also the American Declaration.
Declaration of
So basically it's every country every country who's a part of the UN had to adopt it. So,
but they're making sure that we are identifying ourselves as these crayons, black or colored, or African American.
These categories. Anything that the categories that they create
that don't fit as being indigenous. And that's where we have to educate ourselves as to the fact that it says right in that we have the right to self-identification, to self-identify. In other words, even if it says something to the contrary on that birth certificate that they created, you have the right to make the declaration, proclamation that is not who this is who I am. And if that's what you have, and so once that you do that is what is going to take you outside of their jurisdiction. Absolutely. They won't argue it. They might try to do something. Now they may try to do something if they start to see an onslaught of
everybody.
They're like, oh shit, because look, when we lose, look how many we losing because they're waking up. But I believe that the energy that we are in, and I'm going to ask you about some cosmic stuff too, but this cosmic energy that we're in is one of illumination from a standpoint of like it's shining the light. It's like I'm telling you, I'm seeing these kapowie things coming in my brain firing. I'm saying that it's happening all over. Folks are having these epiphanies and these aha moments and like what the moments, like, and seeing things from a different perspective. And that's exactly, in my opinion, what we need. And when we do that, the next step is how do we collectively, because it's divided, we fall, united we stand. So how do we become more collective instead of fragmented in our approach to establishing ourselves back, even before we were different nations, but this
is the thing though, we have always, you're always going to have the yin and yang forces that are opposed. And so we were never in history, we were never like all one thing, because we ran the whole world. So we didn't have to all be on one side. It was melanated people who were like this, melanated people who were like that. And so that's why, you'll get these battles throughout history. That's where the dragon and the phoenix comes from. There was a type of Moor who was aggressive and and believed in putting the mash down, and then there was the scholarly cats, and philosophical cats, and artistic cats who believed in a different way. And these two philosophies clashed back in the day. Out of the 500 nations over 500 nations that we had here in the Americas, and that's true. We had over 500 nations of Aboriginals, not tribes. I want that to be very clear. Not tribes. A nation is a bunch. If you want to talk about what a nation is right now, as far as Aboriginals, a nation of Aboriginals would be a bunch of tribes. A bunch of tribes joined together under one unity to become a nation. So we had 500 of those, over 500 of those.
So when we said we had over 500 nations, those 500 nations then consisted of multiple tribes. Multiple tribes. Because I know, and Rod is going to be on here with Tashreeq Bey next week, and he talks about tribing up. And so so he's not completely off, but in the sense, but he's got to see the bigger picture. Because when you go down to the tribal, you're getting kind of, but nation was a conglomerate or aggregate of tribes that work together.
And I don't like to, and again, I don't like to call them tribes, because tribe is a Roman term, and it basically, it's the Romans and tribes is where the Romans had to break. Tribes are class. It comes from a classist system in Rome, where the Romans broke up their class into 6 into 6 different classes from basically on how much money you had. And at the top of the class, if you had enough money, they wouldn't put you in the army. So you could buy your way out of dying. Basically, you could buy your way out of dying. And so, but if you get lower down on that, you get down to 4, 5, and 6. You better get one of them spears over there and one of them shields and one of them swords and take your ass on the war. So that's how they would do that. Now in war, you could raise your class. When you would go to war, if you fought valiantly when you came back from war, then your class would be raised. You could, depending on how well you did in the war. So they showed this in in the HBO TV show called Rome. That was a real dope show. If y'all don't know, if you haven't seen that show, it was on like 2 or 3 years. But go stream that show Rome. It broke off the whole society of how Rome was ran. And so you could raise your status. It's all about class and status.
That sounds like the thing you're talking about, like over in China and so forth, and other than talking social credit. So it looks like nothing's new.
Right.
It's just the social.
They just
rename it, and it's the same. Like I said, same shit, different day.
There's always been classes in society since the beginning of civilization, all the way back to the Sumerians. Sumerians that created civilization had a class in society. It's never stopped, and because it's not going to stop, because there are different mentalities of people. There are natural followers and natural leaders, and everybody in between. So that's going to create a class system. The people who are natural leaders aren't going to be down there with the followers. They're going to lead. They're going to lead, and they're going to do everything they can to lead. So this is, these are the systems. So when you say tribe, that's why I'm going back to tribe. That's a part of that class, that Roman classes system. That never applied to us. We didn't call ourselves tribe. That came from Rome. So, but we were nations though. Again, we were a bunch of aggregate Aboriginal communities who came together to form all of these nations. Now they fought like crazy though. they were putting the mash down just like we do today. They put the mash down on each other back in the day, which made it easy for the colonists to come in and break us up. Like even when they talk about how Ponce de Leon and all them, they came over here in the Spaniards came over here and they took over America because they had all the advanced weapons and all that stuff. That didn't happen. That's a fantasy. If you ever believe that the Spaniards took over America because they came over here and they out-militaried us, that's bullcrap. What they did was they came over here with 500 dudes. They came over here with 500 conquistadors, and they saw. So you talking about this is when Montezuma existed, and so his real name was Moctezuma, but they called him Montezuma. So Montezuma, when the Spaniards came over here, he had 500 conquistadors, but Montezuma was putting the smash down on all these other subservient communities, which they call tribes today. So he was mashing out on them and had them paying tribute. So the conquistadors, they went to the different tribes and was like, "Ain't you tired of this bitch? Ain't you tired? They need a bitch ass nigga for trying." Oh, and they were like, "Yeah, man, I'm tired of changing." So they went and he got all of the Aboriginals who Montezuma was taking tribute on, and he got them to go against him. And that's so basically he only had 500 conquistadors, but he had like 10,000 Aboriginals who fought and won America. So we've been fighting each other for the longest time, and they able to stoke those fires. You know what I'm saying? Because I think, and I believe this, because in history we never truly we weren't forced to work together for a long period of time. Like Caucasians were slaves. They've been slaves since the beginning, since because Aboriginals and the Moors, they ran the world for periods of time. We would run the world for 1,000 years, and then we would lose power. But then shortly after, we would regain power, run the world for like another 1,000, 1,500 years, lose power. So we go up and down, up and down. But those whole times, we had Caucasians in slavery. And so if you're in slavery for thousands of years, at some point in time, you're going to learn how to have to work together to get out of it. That's just it's going to force you to be like, I don't care what our differences are, we fuck that nigga. That's what you're going, whatever we got going, F him. And you're gonna point to that dude.
We're gonna present ourselves as a united front. We can kick ass in the background out there, but if we come out united. And that's what they do.
That's exactly what they do. They don't care. They can have all kind of strife and turmoil between them, but when it's against us, they'll band together no matter what. And so they have thousands of years of of training for that. We don't. We never had to truly come together like that in the past because we ran everything. that's just how it was. I mean, and so this is our time where we're throughout the world we have become in the subservient status. Now, are we gonna come together? Or is this our time to learn to be forced to work together? We haven't been down enough. We've only been down for a couple hundred years. Like we haven't been down that long.
But we're coming to the end. I had Mama Callie Sitchin on. I think it was last week, maybe, or something. She's talking. I don't know if she said it on the broadcast, but I know with her my conversation with her has to do with the fact that we're coming towards the end. We're at the end of that 26,000 year progression and so forth, and things are shifting and changing, and which I ask you even before we went live, I wanted to know your position on the restoration, if you will, of the matriarchy, because that seems to be tied in with this change, moving from the Piscean patriarchal Piscean age, the deception, the lies, the other stuff, the papal stuff, and all of the things that were created in that 26,000 and some many year period that we've been under, moving from there. And one of the shifts that you see coming from Pisces into Aquarius, even if you go again back to the Bible allegedly Jesus says to his disciples when he said, I'm going, and then, well, where are you going? Don't worry about it. Look for a man, go into a city and look for a man bearing a water pot. Follow ye him, which was a symbol of, or which was a sign of the coming Aquarian age, which was also a shift, because up until that point, women had always been the water bearers. So women in the Piscean age were seen as the ones that went, and even in Africa, you have a lot of nations to this day where women are going, the ones that are more out, not in the cities, that they go and they walk miles to go get water, and they carry water on their heads and stuff. Women were water bearers in the Bible. So even, because I took Hebrew manners and customs, we realized that, okay, wait a minute, that's a sign, because men don't carry, you'll see a man bearing a water pot. What? Well, that was a change. Now that would mean that would be a shift in how things were. And so women, the matriarcha, Big Mama, whatever, Gaia, whatever you want to call us, the women are getting, what I hear when I get phone calls, a lot are from, mamas and elder mamas, and saying, look, I'm ready, we got to do something, we have to do something. And so, I don't know where we were in that era of being moved off the land and all that. Maybe we were already subjugated then. They had already taken away or somehow usurped the power of the matriarchy. Where do you see, if at all, I don't want to put you on the spot, but yeah, I am. Where do you see women, in this, it being put back in the rightful place? Because no man has ever created life, right? Everybody got a belly button. So somebody was attached to somebody, right?
Well, that's not true at all. Put a woman out in the middle of the desert and tell her to have a baby by herself.
But women did have babies. Women energetically, historically, now we get rid of that. Women were able to, the spark, the monad, women were able to create life in their wombs. Yes, they were, without the benefit of having having sex with a man. That's old.
Where you see that at? Where you see that at? There's no evidence of that. Show me that.
That's why they try to tell you about
this is why I am who I am. I don't deal with all that bull crap, spooky crap.
But we had to
evidence of that in history.
Show me a man, Kevin, besides what you see in the movies, because I saw something in the movies, but where a man brings forth life. I remember seeing a documentary, and I think these were Aboriginal people over in Australia. I saw it maybe a few years ago. The women were subservient. the men were in charge, and they had a ceremony every year, and it was almost like a rites of passage for the young men. And so the documentary team asked the women, do you know what goes on when they have this annual ceremony? And they said, no, we're not allowed, blah, blah, blah. So they asked the men about the ceremony and why it is that the women were not privy at all. They had no clue all these years of what goes on in that. And they said, because the women used to be in charge. And if they found out that they used to be in charge, they were fearful that the women would reverse the balance of power and take over. Now, I'm all for working together. But I see somebody said asexual. Yeah, I mean, you had androgynous beings, you had all one, you had beings within themselves, but you also had, there are great stories of women, of societies of women where there were no men, and yet there were
talking about that. Ain't seen none of that.
Well, you ain't seen none of that stuff.
Show me evidence of an asexual birth. All of y'all talking about that, y'all ain't seen none of that. There's no evidence of that at all. There is evidence of the divine masculine and divine feminine together creating life. That is what the universe is about. There is no imbalance of the matriarch or patriarch. That's why if you have one or the other, it will always flip, because there's an imbalance. If you have one ruling over the other, eventually as the law goes, the pendulum will swing. One will go like this and the other will go like that. Unless you have them like this at an equilibrium, then they stay balanced. If you have a matriarchy, eventually over time, the males are going to feel downtrodden and oppressed, and eventually that male energy is going to rise up. Then eventually the women are going to feel down, and then if you can keep doing that, that's what's going to keep happening.
But the male energy has been traditionally more warlike as opposed to more nurturing, and so from a standpoint of balance, we do need both.
But that was an extreme you just used for masculine energy. Warlike is not all that men do. That's an extreme.
No.
Men do. Men
well, that is an extreme. But I'm saying, energy. But what my understanding is that women were more of, look back at, Queen Nzinga, different ones that ruled nations. And when women were in so-called the seat of authority, so to speak, that things normally went a different way. That was not as,
it was a different way. Absolutely.
It was a different energy. And that's probably where I'm saying, because I'm not suggesting that there is not supposed to be men. I have 3 sons, right? That's not where I'm coming from. But I'm saying that women have taken more of a, I have the babies. I know things have changed over the years, because women work just like men. Women are driving trucks and fixing cars and doing all that stuff too. So don't have to tell me. I know that we do all the same things, except that we have not seen ourselves, I don't think, in the position of being able to turn things around. That we have to come together. We have to come together as from our own standpoint of womanhood and bond and not be catty and not be jealous and not be all of those things. That's really what I'm saying. And what I'm seeing are that the ones that are responding more to that are more of the elder sisters, the 60s, 70s, 80s. These are sisters are like, they've been waiting, like, now I'm ready. I want to do something. We need to change this. We've been talking about it. But now how do we be about it? And I'm just hearing from a lot of mothers who are saying, that they want to do something. They want to organize. They want us to stop killing each other. They want the brothers to, we can have guns, but just let's not use it on each other.
That's what's going to change it. That's what's going to change this. That energy rising is what's going to help change it. Excuse me. It is the opposite of that masculine, over testosterone energy, just go out there super aggressive. There has to be the counterbalance. But when we're talking about if we truly want to reach a point where we're going to ride this out in harmony, there has to be a balance of the divine masculine and divine feminine. They have to be working together in harmony in order, to take control or to rule. Because if one is ruling over the other will feel oppressed at a certain point in time. And just naturally, the balance of the universe it'll take it and move it like this. That's just the law of the universe. So it has to stay here, excuse me, or we have to get it to a level. Because right now, this is where the men is here and the women's down here. This is where it is. So we have to, and it's coming up. The women are coming back up, but this is where I see a lot of women wanted to do this, and you can't do that. We have to bring it back. We have to bring it back to an equilibrium.
And we have, like you said, we have in doing that, we have to respect that whatever each one brings to the table is as equally important as what other brings. Sure. And you can't downplay somebody's role because of their gender.
That's
what I mean? You cannot do that. Now, we already know that system that is at play right now is trying to neutralize all of that.
Oh my God! Did you? There's a documentary y'all should go see right now called "What Is a Woman." Have y'all? It came out like 3 days ago. It's the documentary on Rumble. If y'all haven't seen this documentary, it's a documentary called "What Is a Woman," and basically it's about an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. And this guy goes around and he's breaking down the whole transgender thing, because to me that's an attack on the divine feminine, the transgender thing, because that ultimately is they're trying to usurp what a woman's truly power is, and be like, oh well, no matter what nature the nature says, I can just come and take that energy regardless, even though I wasn't born into that sorority. I can just come and usurp that energy. No, you just can't. That just can't happen. And so in this documentary, he basically just goes around and asks the simple question. All these people who are trying to do, be the trans or this, trans men or trans women are real women and this and that. So all he went just asked is, what is a woman? That's the only question he asked. No, none of them could answer that question. And they kept saying, well, a woman is a woman. Well, you can't. Well, what you mean a woman is a woman? That's a circular definition. He said, so use woman. He says, tell me what a woman is without using the word woman. Define women without using the word woman. None of them can do it.
Man with woman.
Thank you. Thank you. But none of them can do that because they don't truly understand what that is. And so there you have this movement. To me, when you were talking about the matriarch coming back, so which is divine feminine energy on the rise, they see that happening. And what I see is the patriarch trying to usurp that energy, that rising, by turning themselves into what they say, they're trying to take over that energy so they still maintain power. Because truly, if you look at this movement, who truly is in power with that movement? When you talk the trans movement, it's still males, because physically males are still going to be stronger than, if you're a biological male, you're going to be stronger than a woman. So anything like you talking about, like sports and something like that, that's still going to no female who trans can go to a male sport and dominate. But a male who transitions, they can go to a women's sport and take that whole thing over. So eventually it'll be only trans men doing that. So it's literally an usurpation of the woman rising of the energy. That's what I see as far as what's going on. But women are seeing that, but they're not fighting back against it enough. To me, you ladies, women, goddesses, you guys have to be vocal about what's going on. And I know a lot of women don't want to get canceled by coming out and saying, I'm not, or I'm against it. But you have to speak up, because if you don't, then one side is just allowed to move. And if you only allow one side to move, then they're the ones that's going to gain all the ground. So
absolutely. And the other thing is, if you move towards too much of that, eventually you're actually helping the agenda to get rid of society, because there will be no more reproduction, and eventually, everything will be done in test tubes. And I mean, you see the movies, you see the various things that they're showing now. They've been showing over many years, and they're making babies in looks like test tubes, and I mean, like big artificial wombs and so forth. Which reminds me, I was looking at something a few months back from like the World's Fairs, the World's Fairs that they had in the early 1900s. And they were showing, of course, all of these things that they allegedly had just built, which we know now were things that were already here that they, maybe pretend they built. But they also had babies in a part of where was for in incubator. They had babies in these. They look like these little pop. You have the popcorn machines that you could open up like that.
Yeah.
They look like machines like that. But at the World's Fairs, there were babies in these incubators way back then. And then they had a thing that was going on back then called orphan trains. And you have all of these Caucasian children being like from where somebody said they came from, probably from the convents that were probably the babies, the children that had no parents because their mothers was nuns and their fathers was priests. But they had all of these orphan trains. You can look it up. Orphan trains and babies in incubators. We're talking back in the early 1900s that were part of the World's Fair. So I don't know whether these babies were experimental birth,
maybe early 1900s,
way back then.
Could have been.
And then these children, you see them, they were on trains and they looking out the windows. None of them were melanated that I could see. And they were taking these children that somebody said that these were the children that they were then indoctrinated for what they, the mentality of so-called, because we know there's no such thing as white supremacy, but these children were then indoctrinated and educated to become who, the industrialists and the different ones. Yes. They trained them, and put them, they weren't with their families. They had orphanages all over at that time. And it was basically for making a regime of the folks that we're now still dealing with the residue of what they were taught.
It is.
They didn't just learn it like go to school somewhere and go home to their these children were put in, and you'll see now all the old movies where children were in orphanages, because they were where they came from, I do not know, but these were the children that were indoctrinated with certain ideologies and mentalities, Albion, Caucasians, whatever you want to call them, and then put into society. They were there. I don't want to call. I'm like
sleepers, like sleepers, like
Manchurian candidates, and whatever. They created them in those early times by taking these orphans, and all they got was, they learned how to follow rules, and also, but they were also probably indoctrinated into who was, like you said, the caste system, that they were better and they were this and they were that, and then they were unleashed on society. We didn't know where these people came from. They created backgrounds for people. We know that to this day. They became the movie stars. They got some. They trained some.
Obama.
Yeah, they made but I'm talking about
I know.
I'm talking prior to his birth this time around. But back then, these became the ones that, in they made their own movie stars and their own politicians and their own doctors.
Engineering society.
They created this.
Yeah.
They were not raised in households like you're seeing now and coming out. They literally had children that were born so that they could then, like you said, have them as sleepers and Manchurian candidates to take over, become their global.
They call them boarding schools today. And that's what they are today. Those boarding schools where you got all the elite kids that get funneled into the upper pipelines of politics and corporations and all of that type of stuff. But you'll never see that. Excuse me. So they still have those pipelines where they indoctrinate those kids and place them into like what's the dude? So they got the World Economic Forum going on.
Oh gosh. That Klaus
Schwab.
Yeah.
So if y'all don't know about this is what's really happening right now around the world. So the World Economic Forum going on in Davos, Switzerland. Then 400 miles away from that, they have the WHO meeting where they signed the pandemic treaty for 194 countries. Signed the pandemic treaty on basically if there's a pandemic in the world, the WHO can tell you what to do basically they can distinguish.
They're not even elected officials.
No.
These folks are not elected officials.
No.
And they are making laws, laws, global laws, and to make it, to be able to say at the swipe of a pen, okay, everybody's got to do X, Y, Z, or everybody's got to do this. And what were we being caught up in? We were caught up in, the some folks. I'm not saying y'all, but folks in general. The Johnny Depp, the Buffalo shooting. Not that it wasn't, the Uvalde's, the this and that, the other. They always have distractions that are going on, and all of our attention is focused. Don't look over here. They doing sleight of hand tricks, and we're focusing on the on the BS that they putting in front of us. Like how many. No, I didn't realize until later, because I hate watching the news. Things pop up on YouTube.
I got to.
I know, but things I don't sit and watch news because I don't believe half the crap that they say.
Well, you don't. But, make sure you get
but then to find out that even with what happened in Buffalo, that this one brother had created this water. I think it was some type of.
No, he created a water technology for cars.
Right. Yeah. So it is not far-fetched.
No.
To say or believe or that allegedly that whole thing was just to get him, because we already know that they will take down a whole airplane to get one or two people on it, because they don't want whatever technology or whatever they were bringing to market. We know that happened, with, was it the Korean, whatever Malaysian air, whatever. So we know they'll take down a whole, plane full of people to get one or two people. So this would kill two birds with one stone. This would, one, get rid of that guy. I would say that they probably have gone to his house and they need to see what was on his computer and all that stuff, and probably have taken his technology.
I think he did videos. I think he was showing it in videos. What he was doing.
Yeah, but I'm saying they probably had to come as a result of him. Was there any connection? That would be their way of stealing that technology. It do two things: get rid of that brother and create, this in our community. This like, oh my God, they went and did this.
These white people.
Let's go back to this. They're making these 18-year-old, Manchurian candidates or sleepers. They made them. Somebody said this young man had two weapons that cost a minimum. Somebody, I don't know, it was you or somebody, of $2,000. No,
his equipment was $9,000.
You don't have a job. You don't work. You're 18. You're writing manifestos, and nobody finds that strange that you got that much firepower. Come on.
He bought it on the same day, on his birthday. He went and bought it and did, but $9,000. But this is the thing about when you're talking about the Manchurians and the World Economic Forum and that brother. So like there was a movie. I misquoted the movie before. The movie's called Jack Reacher, where in the movie.
Oh, I saw him.
They take out a bunch of random people in order to so you throw you off from when they actually take out the real person they wanted to take out. Mm-hmm. So that's going back to that Buffalo cat. They send somebody to take out a bunch of randoms, and then you don't
got a target. Your target's in there, but
exactly the target is in there. But what's going on within the last 2 weeks, people. This is what I want people to be able to. You have to peep when you talk about distractions. You had the WEF meeting, the World Economic Forum, the WHO treaty, and then this weekend the Bilderberg meeting that just happened.
I didn't know about that one.
Bilderberg meeting was happening in Washington D.C. These are the elites meeting within the same 2 weeks at 3 different places. What the hell is going on? At the World Economic Forum and the Bilderberg meeting, those are the places where in the Bilderberg meeting, they don't try to tell you what's going on, but everyone knows. They say we come to discuss world policy, but we're not here in our official capacity. We're here as individuals. But wait a minute, you got the prime minister of this, you got the president of this, but y'all here as individuals, not in your official capacity. Please, y'all gonna talk about world policy, and then he gonna go back in his official capacity and implement those policies.
Yes.
Same thing with the World Economic Forum. They talking about tracking your your carbon footprint. So they say we have a technology coming out where we can track everybody, what you eat, where you go, this and that, and they under the guise of tracking your carbon footprint. Then the CEO of Pfizer, he comes out, oh, we got the new pill coming out with a chip in it to track you and see if you took it or not. Wait a minute, that was conspiracy about 3-4 years ago. Now he just went on the World Economic Forum this past week and said it's true. We got it coming out in a few months. Y'all hold up. Then somebody else came out and said, we need to reimagine freedom of speech. What you mean reimagine freedom of speech?
Like what we're doing. Do this.
Right. So then that's at the World Economic Forum. Go to the WHO. They over there talking about I call it the pandeezy. You know, I got to talk so when the pandeezy hits, the leader of the WHO, he can come out and he can declare lockdowns in any one of those 194 countries. And then if any one of those countries disagrees with his assessment, meaning if he comes out and he says, yeah, you got the boogalooga flu over there, and then y'all be like, we feel fine. We don't got nothing over here. He'll be like, nope, I don't believe you. Our scientists said it's coming. You guys, you lock down. And if your country disagrees and said, well, we feel fine, we're not locking down over here, and they know your domestic forces won't do that, they can get another one of the 194 countries. They can get any one of their military to come into your country and lock it down for you, and lock it down for them. Did
it pass? Whatever that was.
Yeah, that's written in the treaty. Yeah, they signed it.
They signed the treaty.
They signed it because America is the one who wrote it up. America wrote it up and gave it to the leader of the WHO.
All the more reason for us to get the hell out of.
But these are the reason this won't happen. This won't work really on you because they're all corporations. See, America is a corporation who just signed a contract with another corporation. The WHO is a private corporation. So these things don't have true power over you. They only have true power over you when you're under the main corporation. You're an asset of the main corporation. So when you sever those contracts, they can't force you to do any of those things. So, but no one knows that. And they know that you don't know that. So they're just doing their thing. So if you got all these three things going on, then at the WEF, their theme was the goat. So their symbol was the goat. So if anybody knows about the goat,
the Baphomet.
So not like Baphomet. See,
the greatest of all time.
Right. Well, Baphomet he got a whole lot of things going on, but the goat is a representation of Capricorn, which is Saturn, which is also Moloch. So Moloch,
children.
There you go. You see a horn. Anytime you see horns, that's in movies and TV and all that. That's usually representing Moloch, which is the god of the kid sacrifice. What's another? What are kids? Kids are what?
Goats.
Baby goat. Right. Goat. So on the patch, on the WEF patch, that they wore, it has two goats bumping heads like this, and the two horns going out like that. But when you back up away from it, it's one giant goat face. It's one giant goat head. Now again, remember Saturn, Moloch, all of these type of things. Then 19 kids are taken out. Yeah, and Uvalde. At the same time, the forum is going on. So you understand now. So they do their rituals and their sacrifice to power their endeavors for the future. This is how they do this type of stuff. So whenever you see that, then you wonder, then you look and see why didn't they go in? They still don't say why they didn't go in. They were like, I
listened to one of the surviving teachers, and they said they were outside the door
just chilling.
Chilling, and the children in there saying, "Come help us!" And they're outside. They walk away, like
arresting the mothers for trying to go in there.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That makes absolutely no sense. There's only one dude in there with a gun, and he doesn't even have a bulletproof vest on. And none of y'all are raiding the place. So that shows that somebody had told them to stand down.
Yeah,
somebody had told them to stand down, and so that whole thing can unfold. And that's what you see. And so when you see all this stuff going on, you got the ritual going on to take place to empower what's going on, and that happened right before the Bilderberg meeting this weekend. Y'all understand? The Bilderberg meeting is the real meeting where they plan what's going on. It's not the other. It's not them other ones. The Bilderberg meeting is where they plan what's going on, and then in the rest of the world, the World Economic Forum and all the rest of those, they take those plans and implement them. Klaus Schwab was the head of the Bilderberg. He used to be the head of it. Yeah.
And you know who else was big time in that thing was Kissinger.
Kissinger, who was his mentor.
99 years old and still running stuff.
Still running. He was over in the World Economic Forum. He gave a speech on the stage this weekend. This past week. So he's Klaus Schwab's mentor. Klaus Schwab talks about him at every chance he gets. Henry Kissinger, he took a liking to me, and he's my real mentor. And I'm like, oh, okay, so he didn't pass down the world.
What keeps him? Look, I've been wondering what keeping him alive, or who's keeping him alive.
Who's keeping him alive.
I've been thinking about that.
What he's sipping on?
Yeah, some of the main stuff that he's been part. Kennedy assassination.
Oh my God.
Maryland, you could go down the list of things that he's been around. That folks got to go pretty much almost kiss his ring when they come in office.
That's true. He's been around so damn long. Everybody else who was in control of him died.
He's the president. He's the one in charge behind the one in front.
Yep. You know the queen is dead too, right?
Dead or there?
Dead. You know the queen is dead.
Yeah, but not for real. For real, she is. But for the public, she's
not.
For
the public, she's not. But yeah, they trying to keep. They lined their asses off. Had her in a hologram rolling down the street in the parade the other day. A hologram. Like, that girl is dead. She dead as hell. This is why you see a lot of these plans though starting to be implemented. It was like once she died, she was a main, of this Illuminati shit. She was the main, a main part of this. And so when she passed, that was the implementation of, all right, the one world government put everything in the plan. And this is what you see going on. They even used the word a bunch of times this last week on the news, on CNN and Fox News. They said one world, we don't want a part of a one world government. They've been saying this. So
why are they saying that we don't? Is it because?
Well, these are the Republicans. These are the Republicans.
Republicans.
If the Republicans, that's a one world government is not good for them. Nationalism is good for them. Mm-hmm. If they're in control of their nation, then Caucasians are still able to run the nation. But globalism takes them out of the power. It makes the government more diverse, moving them into a one world government where they have no power. They have no more power. They don't want that. So they're on TV saying we don't want a one world government. Now they're saying it mainstream. This was
but we don't either.
Huh?
We don't.
No, but this was a conspiracy theory for us of how many one world government. And that used to be a conspiracy theory. Now you got politicians saying it on the news all the time these past couple of weeks. So this is where they're moving us to. This is why they're distracting the hell out of everybody else and literally trying to take down, especially if you live in America. They're trying to take down America because America is the only country right now where they can't implement policies directly on the citizens because of the Constitution. So they have to subversively go through corporations who you are dependent on, and they put the mash down or the clamp down on those corporations in order to suppress you. And
I have a comment here that said that the WHO treaty did not pass 4-7. And I didn't say something. African countries, China and Brazil voted against it.
Yeah, Africa voted against it. I didn't hear
Brazil. China and Brazil.
Yeah, they voted against it, but there was 194 countries who had to vote on it. Though I didn't hear it didn't pass. I heard that they didn't vote on it. They voted.
Well, I hope it didn't pass.
Yeah.
I hope it didn't pass.
Yeah, they voted against it.
Yeah, they voted against it. Well, yeah, they're saying somebody else said yes, it failed. And I believe that energetically, it's a mind game. I remember at the beginning of our conversation, and I said I was going to grab a piece of paper of something that I had written. Oh, you can't even see it. You can't even see it. But anyway.
Anyway,
but I wrote this. Different things I got on this piece of paper. I think I wrote this stuff like 2016. This said it was called the politics of politics. It's on here on a big old sticky. But on this one, I wrote 7 steps to directing the script of your life.
Nice.
And the first step was writing the script. And this was intended when I was writing this. This was to give to folks that like how to kind of re-script you, how to you be in charge. So the first step is to actually write the script, and then the second step is to to what did I have? Defy. Okay, to defy who you're, to identify rather your executive producer. Is the term. The third thing is to choose a director, then make a casting call for, then play, then it's actually playing the role and taking a bow, and then it says next.
That's right.
And that's what they do. Yes. So if they do that on a grand scale, then in a macrocosm and a microcosm, we can do that individually. You make the decision as to what is the script of your life. I don't care what everybody out here is saying on CNN and MSNBC and whoever else, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You don't care about that. You what do you say? What was the plan that was set forth, the purpose for your life when you answered the call to be born into this time? Because we asked to come in this time. We are here because we chose to be here. And I'm sure we did not choose to be here, especially folks like you and me. We didn't come here for defeat. We came here for victory. If we didn't come here for victory, we wouldn't be putting our lives on the line to say the things that we say, to present the things that we do, so that we can help wake up, shake up sleeping heads, sleeping minds, sleeping ideologies, and get folks to saying, you know what? Yeah, okay, I am in charge. I can direct this. I can choose who are going to be my cast of characters in my life. I can dismiss, rewrite, I can edit, and then I can proceed. And at the end of it, take a bow because it ends like I want it to, and be on to the next.
That's rude. But for us to do that, it's definitely putting again, I'm all about speak it into existence, think putting that energy out there, the mental vision, but you also got to put the work down with the mental vision and what you say, that's the Trinity, the mental vision, you speak it, you think it, speak it, then you do it. So that's the true Trinity. But then you also got to keep vigilant and understand and see the different things that they're working to try to push us into this, because you don't want to lose sight of these things, like the world food shortage, the food shortage that's going on, or the monkey pea thing that then came out, and all of these things are engineered. They had a simulation in March of 2021 where they were going to release the monkey pea on the world, and the date that they were supposed to release it was May 15th, 2022. The WHO, they got their first report of the monkey pea on May 13th, 2 days before the simulation was supposed to happen. So that shows you right there. Then they were saying that they were the reason that they were releasing they were trying to create the stir about the monkey pea is because people who were getting the boost, called the Boost Mobile, people who are getting the Boost Mobile shot, it was leaving them with something called VAIDS, which is acquired immune deficiency. So like anything like minor, like anything that they had that was their body was suppressing with the immune system, those things were rising to effect, like shingles and all kind of crap. So shingles is from the same it's from the same family as monkey pea. Yeah, and chicken, and all those things. So they were saying that now, since these things were coming back up, what happens is you go and you get tested for monkey pea, you may have shingles or some other thing, and they're going to say you have monkey pea, and then give you this new vaccine they made. So the vaccine was made in the Wu-Tang lab in China using monkey pea, the Rho, and the Henrietta Lacks gene.
Oh my!
Yeah, the HeLa gene. They created a V doing that, and it's an mRNA vaccine. So now what they said what they can do is when you go get another Boost Mobile, they're going to give you the monkey pea, that new crack. I call it the monkey roll because it's made with the monkey pea in the row. So they're going to give you that in the new Boost Mobile. What they said was they can alter the shot as long as it still pertains to CV-19. They said they can alter it But as long as they give it to 5 people and those 5 people don't die, they can alter it and not tell you. So when you go get the Boost Mobile, they're going to be given that monkey pea. They're going to be given the new monkey pea.
Interesting enough, I said this probably like last year at least, when it came to that, started seeing an increase of commercials of the tingle.
Yep.
I'm calling it the tingles.
The
Tingles is mostly associated with senior citizens.
Okay.
And so, over a certain age, or people over a certain age. So I saw that, and then they started talking about the WHO shot again. That's the other one. So I said to somebody, I said, you say you don't want to get the V.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you get the shingles or the WHO, you might as well get it, because they my higher my higher self told me that they put it in everything. Mm-hmm. They put it in anything that they're pushing and promoting. They're putting the same elements in it, because the end result is to, again, that's to reduce the population, because you got a lot of folks, that are going to develop those plots and with strokes and other things.
Did you see the documentary Watch the Water? Did you see that?
Yes.
So you see what it really is. It's not a V, it's a toxin that they released into the world. And because a toxin is much more easy to manage than a V. A V can just go out of control and spread and take out way more people than they planned. But if I release a toxin, I can control it with an antitoxin. So that's basically what they kind of released into the world. This is nothing that they do can get out of control. Everything that they plan has to be within a certain thing that they can pull back at a certain. If they release something, they can't lose control of it. They have to be able to pull it back at a certain time. So they can't just release a V into the world, because a V will just go and mutate and do and grow into all kind of other stuff. However, I can release a toxin that mimics a V that and takes your and turn make sure your body do all kind of things that are symptoms of a V, but then the antidote to that is just an antitoxin, and so that can control that with. This is all a part of them hitting you from the different sides, like the food shortage. There was in November 12th, 2015, there was a simulation on a food shortage that the government ran. They wanted to see if they ran a food shortage, how the world would respond to a food shortage. This is an actual simulation they ran. Now, the food shortage the simulation, guess where it started? The shortage started in Pakistan and Ukraine. People don't know a lot of your wheat that we get in the world comes out of Ukraine. So, and Russia, and the production that comes out of Ukraine and Russia. So the simulation they had in November 12, 2015. 2015 they did this. Said that we was going to have a food shortage during the years of 2020 to 2030. And it was going to start in Pakistan and Ukraine. And look what's happening right now. Matter of fact, another an egg processing plant, like a place where they hold eggs, like an egg warehouse where they hold eggs, that just burned down a couple of days ago, which makes 19 food processing places or farms that have burnt down this year already. This is they are mashing out and planning some crazy stuff right now. Have you seen there are two simulations that has come out? They would have been able to hide this stuff before, but now we're in the information age, the Aquarian age. Stuff comes out like that. They can't hide anything. So the two simulations that they're running right now, those reports just came out showing that all of this is absolute bullcrap. So
we need to be planting our own foods. I saw a video the other day about how to grow, for instance, sweet potatoes, and I'm getting ready to it's an awesome little video, and it shows you how to take a sweet potato and put it in this moist type
Yep.
And you can make hundreds, pounds and pounds of it. And I got some purple sweet potatoes, the most expensive one. I'm getting ready to get some clear, totes and do that. And I'm going to do that. And once you get the flowers up, you can cut.
Right. That's right.
And then you can flatten it, and you can make, hundreds of pounds of sweet potatoes, and those are nourishing and stuff. And we've got to learn we have to unlearn to of some of the things that we think we need to be healthy. You might have to do without meats, and it's I love cooking with mushrooms and vegetables and stuff, and seasoning it up with my spices, and it tastes like meat to me. It tastes delicious. I make mushroom steaks, and it's mushroom.
And you can have that type of stuff. People, I mean, you have to kind of recondition your mind and your body to take this type of stuff because they fed us the dead foods for so much. And if you're gonna eat that stuff, you got to learn how to cleanse. Like you have to do some way. You have to balance it out. Like if you're gonna eat it, all right, but make sure you got to say at some point in time, all right, now it's time for me to cut it off. I got to go without for about 2 months, a month or 2 months, let my system, cleanse, take everything in that you need to do, as far as juicing and, eating the vegetables and all that, and let the system cleanse itself. But we do none of that stuff. And it's so important right now. Right. Like at this point in time right now, they hit us because they understood, like if you watch the Water, they were saying the toxin can can attack certain ailments in the body. So like if you got hypertension, if you got heart disease, so these are basically things that unhealthy people have. And so they targeted the toxin to take on those things. And so if you heal the body though, they can't do anything. That's why they took out Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi, people don't really even understand how important that man was. Dr. Sebi was the one person in the world who could have ruined this pandeezy. On the one person in the world. Nobody else in the world could have ruined this because he was the only person that a court said he can get rid of AIDS, sickle cell, all these different diseases. A court said that, meaning he was the only person who could legally say, I can get rid of all of this. And if he can get rid of AIDS and sickle cell and all that, a little virus would be nothing.
And so, that we know that they are putting it is in it. You see running across the screen, I do these scans, my mother Kai and I both do. And with this stuff, which is educating you about the body, when I do scans for people all over the country, all over the world. I did a family in Trinidad about a month ago. So when I do these scans, I'm seeing stuff coming up in people's scans. You see where they've been, energetically, there's coronavirus, or I might see HIV. I remember scanning a brother, and he was fine. And about 6 or 7 months later, he calls me because he's in a hospital and he has CV pneumonia. He's calling me in the middle of the night because he was afraid he was dying, and he'd had a scan maybe 6 months earlier. And he wanted me to can you do something? So I could do this, remotely. And I'm doing a scan. Right. And when I did the scan, and I'm comparing it because I don't normally keep scans, but I'm looking at it, HIV comes up and all that. And we talk about an older brother. It was not in his 6 months prior. But what had he done in that period of time? He had become fully V'd. He became fully V'd. This was in the beginning of the month, and but he lasted about 18 days beyond him reaching out to me, and he succumbed to it, but he was fully V'd, and HIV and other things showed up, but it wasn't in the initial scan because he had not been V'd.
That's what I just said. That's the VADS thing, that the V acquired immune deficiency. All these other things
it's actually there. I saw it. I literally I saw it, you know what I mean? And so I realized that, and then some of us are even around. I'll see, like, you may have been around it, what the energy of what they're calling the C virus. Yeah. And I'll see it. I've even seen it in my own scan. I went to the nursing home to see my sister, and my sister had it. And probably half the people, majority of the people in there have had it. And my sister has been vaccinated. V'd. Right? V'd. And so I went to see her in March. And then after that, it shows up, but that's the energy. But do I have it? I said, no, but I've been energetically in around it enough that it showed up on my scan.
Right. I mean, it's again, that's why I would want people to see that documentary, Watch the Water, but then also do some research on the guy who did it, because he actually has more stuff that he's come out with about that. It's it's a cobra toxin, and those things, they can engineer those things to attack anything in your body. So basically, it has the cobra has 138 different toxins. 19 of them are detrimental to human organs. Wow. So this is where you get the C19, the CV, the C19 from. And so
and so it is important for us to get as healthy as we can to, if it means eliminating, like you said, certain foods, meats and whatever, and just seeing what kind of, having a liver flush, having, doing a detox, parasite cleanses, and different things that, you can do to get yourself, just balance.
You guys want a body reset? There's a brother we have on the show when I do the Zoe West show. His name is Dr. Russell. So his place is russellherbals.com. So if you go to russellherbals.com, he has different types of detoxes, but he has one that's a body reset. He resets all of your organs, like each one. Like you'll reset your heart for 1 week, then you'll reset your kidneys, and reset he's killing the game. So especially since that they took Dr. Sebi out, he's been doing this for 50 years. So he's the foremost dude right now who's been doing this the longest. If you go look up it's russellherbals.com, and you can do a whole body reset. He's killing it right now.
Okay, well that's good. And there are, like I said, I work very closely myself with Dr. Botanica. We work together because what he's able to do is take people's scans with their permission, and see what is going on, and then he consults with them, and he gives them, he's able to, and he does a lot in Chinese and herbal medicines and different things that that are not really medicines, but are herbs and stuff, and helps people. People are seeing a lot of things. We have testimonies coming forth from it. So he and I work together. But like you said, then there's brother Dave, the brother that you just mentioned. Get with somebody that you trust. Somebody.
Because they trying to take they targeted this. I just want y'all, they targeted this for us. However, what they didn't plan on was melanin. That's the science they don't have figured out yet, which is why they can't take you out. They can't take you out.
You have your melanin book, that book that you
So right here. This is the Great Book of Melanin Research. They have not figured out your melanin yet. And just so you know, your melanin is worth $511 a gram on the stock market. That's an actual, that is an actual thing. It has, when you look up melanin, it has a chemical number. When you look it up, it's like CAS. Man, I forgot. Hold on, I'll try to look it up. But so melanin is $511 an ounce on the stock market. So, but this tells all the science about your melanin. And so in here, it tells how the melanin is so complicated they can't even break it apart. Like when they try to go inside the melanin cell, it's so sturdy, it's so stable that if they try to break it with a laser, they tried to crack it with a laser, and all it did was split into a bunch of other pieces of the same piece Yeah, it is. It is off the chain. And basically, they also said the reason for the civil rights movement was because our melanin was turned on. Your melanin it's like an appliance. Like you turn on your microwave or your or your blender. Your melanin was turned on, and that's because this is where it gets back to us being all on one collective. This is why they make us disaggregate. Why they try to separate us so much, because your melanin is a superconductor. In essence, so it's a semiconductor without you knowing anything. It's constantly pulling in frequencies and vibrations and transmuting those frequencies and vibrations for us, right? That's on an unconscious level. However, there's the difference between semiconductivity and superconductivity is, semiconductivity energy loses. You lose energy from when it goes from point A to point B. Some energy is lost as energy is moving back and forth, right? But when you have point A and point B vibrating at the same speed in harmony, energy can go back and forth between those 2 points without a loss forever. And so that you when you look at the law, as above, so below, you can extrapolate that to us. You can apply that to us. So if we're all vibrating on one frequency, especially if with our melanin, energy is flowing between us at a lossless rate forever. That was the civil rights movement, when we were all on fuck America, F America, we all together, and we all come. We had a massive. Not only was it the civil rights movement, the Black Panther movement happened in the same. We had movements where we were just coming together. They saw that and they was like, nope, nope. Superfly. Don't you want to be like Superfly? Don't you want to be like the Mac? Don't you want to be like all? They gave us. Put a brother up on a pedestal and then separated us and say, all right, well, don't you want to be like that brother who has everything, and y'all don't, so you want to strive to be like this brother. In order to get like this, we all got to fight each other down here. We all can't get together and be like this dude, because he got up there by himself by getting over on the community and getting over on people. So we all got to be like him and be disaggregated and be separated in order to be to that point. And that's where they got us. So yeah, right here. That's why they can't, that's why when they release these V's on us, they can't do what they want to do, because they haven't figured out this science shit. Even with this whole book, what this book says is, we know a lot about it, but we don't know. We don't know nothing. We can't really get inside of it. We can't break it apart. We don't know anything. So you guys, you have the power. If you go and you cleanse yourself, you cleanse your melanin vibrates at a super high level where they cannot mess with you. That is a real thing. It says your melanin, in order for your melanin to work properly, it has to be hydrated. It says that in the book. That's why
I'm guilty. We don't drink enough water, but clean water, good water. If you don't, and then I don't know, but I'm concerned, especially with, not many people, I don't think, drink tap water, but say if you're brushing your teeth and you're brushing your teeth, not only the fluoride, but all of the stuff now that's going in the water that's associated with the V.
Right.
You almost need to have a big Berkey or something on your sink in the bathroom too, so you can use that to brush. You know how we just used to rotate our mouth out.
Right.
I'm like, oh my goodness,
that's true.
What am I putting in my mouth? You know what I mean?
That's true. And we don't think about it. We don't even think about it. But if you understand that they found that out, the hydration part about our melanin, that part in that book, that was a report that came out in the 60s when they found out that our melanin needed to be hydrated.
So that alone, folks, means I don't have any. We need to be drinking water all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Drinking water all the time. And I'm struggling with that.
Table salt. No tables. So table salt dehydrates us. This is why they put salt in everything. So now we get into my nutritionist part. Right. So salt is in everything. But table salt dehydrates you on a cellular level. Your body can't produce it. It's sodium chloride. It's poison to your body. So basically your body takes water out of the cells to dilute the sodium in your body and pushes it towards the surface. So if you eat too much salt, that's where you get edema. You're able to press on your arm and you can leave an imprint in your arm. That's called edema. That's water. That's the body pushing out of the cell, pushing to the surface because it has so much sodium in it, sodium chloride. So that's why you should be eating like pink Himalayan salt. Something like that. Himalayan salt that has 84 minerals, trace minerals per grain in it, because now your body can take these minerals into the cells and flush the cell of the mucus and all of that stuff that's in the cell that dehydrates it. This goes into Dr. Sebi talking about how you have mucus all within your body in the cell. Well, that's because you eat so much stuff with especially sodium chloride, the cell gets poisoned. So if you this is a cleanse, you can't just, I would say you can eat this just regularly, but if you have never cleanse first and then, cleanse your body first, you drink a lot of water, so that you can start to hydrate on a cellular level, because if you're not taking sodium chloride out of your body, then you're poisoning your body. It hardens the arteries. Salt, 96% of the table salt that you see, like Morton salt, 96% of that goes to make stuff. in the world, like tables and chairs and couches and all that. It's an industrial chemical. Only 4% of it goes to food, to put on the food that you eat.
So when they say it's iodized,
and all that that's because they say it's iodized, because natural salt, like pink Himalayan salt, it already has iodine in it. It has iodine.
Iodized mean they added something.
They added it because they washed it and took all of it off. So they had to add something of nutritional value back into it. But no, it's not the same as actually eating natural Himalayan salt.
Or Celtic salt is good also.
Celtic salt is good. Celtic salt is good, but
not as good as
Celtic salt, because it comes from the sea. So there's a lot of impurities within the sea that gets within the Celtic salt. Himalayan salt is from the mountains, and it's mined from the mountains where nothing gets into the mountains. So it's very pure when they mine it into the mountain. And this is the other thing I want to say. There's some story about the Himalayan salt that's going out. It's only Pakistani rock salt. They say it's Pakistani rock salt. Well, that's a scam. Ain't no real Himalayan salt. Most people don't even understand Pakistan is in the Himalayas. The Himalayas are in Pakistan. So yeah, that's where so but you have to use that type of salt to hydrate your melanin. Your melanin will start to work in ways that you don't even, you'll start to pull in frequencies and vibrations, of these higher frequencies and vibrations that mucus within the cell, or that the salt within the body keeps you from doing. These are just minor ways that they understand how to disrupt the system in the body, and we don't know this. We have no idea about this stuff, and we just constantly taking that stuff in. So again,
yeah, they have that book too by Professor Arnold Ehret, The Mucusless Diet, Healing System. You can find that book on Scribd. I love Scribd because a lot of, even if you can't purchase it, good to have the physical book.
It is.
When you can't get the physical book, at least start with the online one that you can get through, like say Scribd or something like that. And I hear so many people who there's a sister that I think she's about 70 something, and she looks good. And 30 some years ago, she found the mucusless diet and started following that. And now she looks like she's like about 40.
There you go.
Something. She's matter of fact, you know what it is? It's the sister out your way that has the vegan restaurant in what is it called? She has the vegan restaurant in out in California. She got a restaurant out there. And of course, she's out there, and it's a very well-known vegan restaurant. I'll have to get. I can't remember
let me know what it is.
Yeah, because she's out there near where you are. But she, she studied the mucusless diet over 30 some years ago, and it turned her life around. She was having all kinds of skin breakouts, and she had this going on and that. She was overweight and all that.
Eating is the key to your health, period.
I'm reading a book by Sean Stevenson about sleep. And in that book, he says, you are not what you how they say you are what you eat. He said, no, beyond that, no, you are what you ate.
That's true. Yes, you are what you, that's true. In the past tense, that's true.
Yeah, you are what you ate. And it takes a certain amount of time for your body to go through the process to get rid of stuff and regenerate itself. But if you're not doing anything, if you're not doing the right things to aid in that, then you just
constantly dumping crap into the body.
Making yourself toxic. Like one of the things I'm getting ready to do is the liver detox, which with the what do you call it? What is the stuff you put? The castor oil pack to detox the liver, because you need to do, you need to do some stuff to get yourself, and Dr. Potatica has me on all this stuff to start to get your body in the right place so that it can heal, so that it can renew itself. And then I know I have to stop doing certain things. So he gave me till today. So today was my last day.
This is it.
And I am on here talking to y'all, and I should be gorging down all of the.
I was just about to say, what's your last meal? Come on, what's your?
I already had it. It was a half of cheese steak.
Hey, look, you got a little bit of time left. What are you talking about?
Actually, what I had been doing was intermittent fasting, but I stopped over the last couple of days. He's like, I'm sending you your protocol. You're going to start on Wednesday. And so he said, you might as well just kick it, do what you're going to do.
Hey,
And, you know what I mean? I want to live, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we're going to fight this battle, you can't fight it in poor health. You can't fight it, with, and that's why I do most of the things that I do. When people get me involved in stuff, it's because I have to try it for myself. I need to see if it works. And especially if it's health related, you know what I mean? And if it gives me some kind of a boost or some kind of a change, then I share it. But you can't fight a battle if you're on flat on your back, if you're sick, if you're if you got brain fog, because some of the stuff that we're doing, it messes up our head. There's a lot of people talking about brain fog lately, which probably has to do with what's in the atmosphere, in addition to what's being broadcast to.
And a lot of the stuff they put out. But this is our, like, when the world is in chaos like this, people don't understand chaos is an opportunity for order. And so melanated people, if you sit back and you participate in the chaos, then you're never going to come up anywhere. This is your time to come up. This is our time to heal. Especially if you see what the things that they're putting out in society are meant to take us out, because their population is dying down. So they say, oh, well, our population is dying down, especially with things like the last 5 or 6 years, the numbers, they have more deaths than births. So when they see that type of stuff, they say, well, all right, that's a reality to them. Like, that's just something that we say, but that's a reality to them. Think about that. If somebody came and said, hey, melanated people, y'all have been dying more than y'all have been reducing the last 6 years. That means we are dying off. That's not a reality for us, because we constantly produce, but that for them, that's a reality. So they say, oh, well, we need to do something about that, especially if we're the people who run the world. Then how do we maintain that power structure? We got to take some of them niggas out. That's just...
How about also what you're seeing is over the last few years that swirling, everything they got our women with their men, and they're showing. Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's being encouraged. Like, are they trying to
tying into the vine,
their gene pool or something? I mean, what are they trying to do? I mean,
it's called tying into the vine. So
okay.
Tying into the vine.
You take me every time you say something, they probably like, there she go with that church stuff again. I don't care. I learned a whole bunch of stuff. I learned enough to get away from it. But the things that matter, there is a thing in there where we talk about where you could take a olive tree, if you will, and or some olive branch and cut it and put it into, just say, an apple tree. You can grow olives on an apple tree. Yep. if you do that, and that's a principle in the Bible.
Yes.
And so that's what they are doing.
Tying into the vine. Yes.
Okay.
Tying into the vine. Absolutely.
I'm saying all this stuff is in there. All this stuff is in there. So now I get to see it from a different. I don't see it as this spiritual. I've been not seeing it as a spiritual book, but you go back and look at it and you go, all this stuff is in there. We just didn't know how to apply it to reality. I used to say to myself, well, where does America or United States, whatever I thought it was back then, where do we tie into Bible prophecy? Where do we tie into the things? And then I realized it's all about us.
Yes. The whole thing is about us. The whole damn thing.
Yeah, we were. They gave us a focus of over there, and it's been right here. You standing on it, like I said earlier. The land flowing with milk and honey. They came over here and go, yeah, it's got all that stuff that you said, but it's giants up over there. And literally, we were giants. We were giants. I was looking at a guy today before we got started, and I don't know how true this is, but this guy was showing all of these mountains, and he was showing a lot of them, like, how we see mountains going this, and he turned the picture vertical. And he was saying that a lot of what we think are mountain ranges, I knew about trees, right? Mm-hmm. But he was showing where a lot of them, when you put the picture this way, they look like faces and bodies, and bodies that these were petrified giants that we think are mountains. You heard this before?
No, I've seen some of those. A lot of those. What I was heard, they were temples that had been the mother nature had taken back. some of those temples. I hadn't heard about the giant. They were petrified giants.
I saw this today.
Send it to me.
Yeah, he had like 60-some pictures, and he was showing, that these were actually like they had, and he was saying something about when he said a lot of them had their mouths open when they died, because he said when they put the dome over, he said it was like they were gasping for breath, and they died in this state, and they became what in a lot of cases
when they put the dome over what.
Whatever they put them. I don't think I'm not going to tell you. I believe that they. I don't know. I don't below whether it's flat, round, or.
Don't let me get.
I know there.
Don't let me get.
No, I'm not going there.
But
I was looking at the picture. That's why he was saying that they died. But I was just looking at the pictures. So when he made them vertical, you could, in most cases, they look like faces and mouths. You can see the different, So I was like, a lot of the mountains that we see, or even the buttes, were actually giant, like the massive trees that petrified. I got petrified rock over here with my crystal collection, when it petrifies, it's stone.
Right. I mean, America, especially in America, it is so much older, and there's a deeper history than most people know. Have you seen something called the London Hammer?
No.
Everybody look up something called the London Hammer. It's a modern hammer that's petrified in rock. That's embedded in petrified rock. Now, if you understand how long it takes rock to petrify, then that means that this hammer is super, super, super old. But it looks like a modern hammer.
Really?
Yeah. It's called the London Hammer, and it's embedded in petrified rock.
Well, they have lots of stuff. You look on the walls of the hieroglyphs, and I saw a hieroglyph with it looked like a Nokia cell phone. And
I've seen that.
You see the planes and the helicopters.
Yeah, the planes and the helicopters.
The thing they look like they got on a space helmet, and Quetzalcoatl in the spaceship with.
Yeah.
I saw a picture, a hieroglyph of somebody riding a bicycle.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. But the London Hammer those hieroglyphs, those are cool. And those are actual things. But when you talk about the London Hammer, because America is supposed to have a certain history, when you talk about a modern hammer being petrified, there you go. Look at that. That's a hammer that they used like in the 1800s, like in 1900s. Now, why that is embedded in rock? It takes how many years for rock to petrify? Thousands and thousands of years for rock to petrify? Yes, now, what is that hammer doing embedded in a rock found in America? Found in Texas. So that tells you they have been hiding so much about the world and the history of the world. They've hidden the Saturn history. How Saturn was the sun that we used to worship, and so
Yeah. Listen, somebody, thank you, Sister Nahaya Ninti. She said the sister that I was talking about, her name is Babette Davis.
Oh, I haven't heard of.
Look her up. She's out in Cali, and I think she's in LA, and she has a vegan restaurant. But her testimony, was that it was not always that way. She was like 40 years old when she started to change and turn her life around, but she started eating, the right way. She started putting, and then she decided to start, teaching up, feeding others. And she's, she has, vegan food.
Like I said, this is
all this information is coming out. Is. Look, can you see? There she is. It's the 77-year-old sister out
there. Go ahead, girl. Man. Where's she at?
Babette Davis. She's but yeah, sister look good in her 70s.
Yes, she do. Yes, she do.
Vegan chef. Yeah.
Shout out to Babette Davis. But this is, man, if we don't, this is our time to rise though. You guys, if we have to rise, you will kick yourself if we come all out of this and everything dies down and they've reshaped the world and you in the same damn place. you're going to feel jacked up about that. When you had all this time, this information to bring yourself up, when all the world is in turmoil, there's wars going on over here, they're fighting this racial this and transgender that and all. I mean, this is your time to come up. While everybody else is in all this mental strife, you don't need to be. Don't get caught up in bullshit. We don't need to be caught up in all that shit. What do we need to do to get to the next level? Oh, we need to figure out, figure out who we are, first of all, our true history within this world, so that you can take that status back. But then also, if you behind enemy lines, anyone would tell you, any military person would tell you, when you're behind enemy lines, you have to get intel. You have to get intel. It's called recon. But this is before they even go behind enemy lines. They get something called reconnaissance, meaning information on the mission, on how everything works, the environment works. So when I go in there, I'm not just bumping into shit and move. I can be efficient, go in there, get to my target, get boom, 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 and come back out. Why? Because I've understood the terrain, the environment. You don't have any of that. Melanated people, none of you have done any of the reconnaissance that you need to do on the the environment that you're in. You're behind enemy lines. You have to do that. They put it out there for you. They got the rules. They got all of this. All you're enjoying the freedoms, and it's called availing yourself of the privilege of a system. If you avail yourself of a privilege of a system, then you become subject to that system. You're under the jurisdiction of that system. So if you're going to avail yourself of the privilege, then learn the system so you can avail yourself of the advantage. You can take advantage of that system. And that's, that's the knowing your rights. That's knowing the system of law and government that you're in, knowing how to deal with the first line of offense against you, which is the police. The police is the first line of offense that they use against us. So if you don't know how to defend against that right off the bat, most police officers, 9 out of 10 police officers, violate your constitutional rights when they walk up to you and detain you. When they tell you, they stop you and detain you, they detain you without any reasonable suspicion to hold you. But you don't know that, so you don't even challenge them. They start patting you down and touching you all over the place without a reason to do that. You don't know that. You don't know they don't have a right to do that, so you don't stop them. So they just constantly just violating your rights. They go down and start feeling on yourself, going in your pants, rubbing it. I mean, they do this because they know that what they know. First of all, they think. But it's not a far-fetched. They know that we don't know the law. They don't know the law either. Just so we understand, the police officers, they don't know the law at all. They don't, but they know just lightly that much more than you, which allows them to lie and sound confident about their lie because they know you don't know shit. So, like I gave an example of this one guy named Lopez Soto. When you talking about knowing the law, Lopez Soto. I don't suggest you do what Lopez Soto did. However, Lopez Soto was transporting. He was coming from California. He was driving in California from Baja. Got stopped by the police officer because the police didn't see a registration on the back of his car, on the back where he thought the police officer thought that's where the law said he was supposed to have it. Police pulled him over. He said, "Where's your registration?" He says, "Oh, it's in the window, in the back windshield." He says, "Oh, well, I couldn't see it." So the police officer leans in the car to grab the registration off the window, and then when he did, he smelled weed. He was like, "Oh, I smell weed." And he looked down and he saw tinfoil coming up from under the floor. He lifted it up and it was a bunch of weed in the floor, bunch of herb. Then he went to the trunk. He found it up. It was packed with more herb, basically 900 pounds. He was transporting 900 pounds of weed. And so they took, obviously he got arrested. He goes to jail. He pled guilty. But while his trial was going on, he found out that the law didn't state he had to have his registration on the back. It had to be on the windshield in the front, where the police officer didn't check. So he pled guilty, but he appealed. He held his right open. He reserved his right to appeal that part of it, that the registration, that he wasn't stopped properly. Once it got to the next court, the court looked at it immediately and was like, "Oh yeah, you got stopped unlawfully." He wasn't supposed to stop you because the law clearly states that you can have that you're supposed to have your registration on the windshield. The police officer was mistaken in judgment, something called the exclusionary rule, or fruit of the poisonous tree, which means if a police officer pulls you over unlawfully and finds anything unlawful or illegal, it gets thrown out if you get arrested for it. So 900, go back to Lopez Soto, 900 pounds of weed got thrown out. And he was free. And
they throw out his weed too, right? He didn't get it back.
They kept that weed. You know they kept that. please. They was having a party in the back. They had a big old party on.
We already destroyed the weed. The evidence is already been.
Yeah, they destroyed it. Or destroyed it. But that teaches you, though, if you understand, if you know the law works. Just something as simple as that. He had 900 pounds of weed, but because the police officer didn't check the windshield first before he pulled him over, before he looked in the car, Lopez Soto was able to get off with half a ton of weed, transporting half a ton of weed. That's trafficking. So y'all don't know. That's drug trafficking where you get like 30 years. He got 0 because of the law. So you guys got to get out there, know your rights, and you can take advantage of the system. They put loopholes in these laws for all these rich people. You think these rich people are going to be bound by the same laws you bound by? Hell no. There's loopholes in all these, but the rich people pay lawyers to go find the loopholes. You don't got that. You need to go learn the law yourself.
Know your rights.
Know your rights. So yeah, going over to knowyourrightsfoundation.org, you can get the Know Your Rights manual right here. This teaches you everything you need to know about traffic stops and Terry stops, which are police stops on foot. Excuse me. Then oh man, I got my cards right here. So then that comes with right here. This also comes with this is called the qualified immunity notice. Police officers have qualified immunity. Basically, they get to get off if they violate your rights and they didn't know, if they didn't know that they were violating your rights. However, if you alert the police officer that they're in danger of violating your rights before they do it and you get it on camera, once they do it, they lose their qualified immunity. And so this is the notice that said that has all the Supreme Court cases that tells them they lose that qualified immunity. Right there, Lopez Soto case is right there. just in case y'all want to know, the Lopez Soto case is right there. And real quick, the other things we have, this is constitutional. This is the constitutional rights card. This is what you keep on you in the car. And you tell the police officers, you hand this to the police officer, you say, I don't answer questions when they ask you, so where are you coming from? Where are you going? All those questions are so you can incriminate yourself, just so you know. You should answer none of those questions. You have any guns or drugs in the car? Even if you don't have them, you're supposed to say, I don't answer questions. And then other thing right here is the qualified immunity card or notice. Same thing, this goes along with the big notice. So you hand the police officers that, and you keep these in your car. Police officer pulls you over, you hand them these 3 things, and you say, I don't answer questions. And that's how that's supposed you look at it, you do not open your mouth, period. And then when they keep pushing the line, they want to violate your rights, they have something called police insurance or public official bonds, which every police officer in the country has to have one of those, or they can't work. So when they violate your constitutional rights, you go place a claim on that bond, which is about $75,000 to about $300,000, depending on who it is, which police officer it is. You get to claim that, and they don't get to work that day. So you have ways to fight back, you guys. You have to know this. So if you want to know, if you want that police stop law package for free, just go to realnagas.com and order the Great Book of Melanin Research. Just order this, and you can get the whole thing for free. Or if you just want the package, go to Real Nagas. Go to knowyourrightsfoundation.org, because that's the organization that we built to help everybody. That you have to create organizations in this new system. That's what they're creating. This is what they're tearing down. They're tearing down the individual. So you have to be able to link up with people. This is why we're talking about today. If you think you're going to be able to be individual in the future, it's not happening. So we created this Know Your Rights Foundation. Nothing better than a vehicle, to fight for your rights than Know Your Rights Foundation. So you want to empower this and help get on with this, get over to knowyourrightsfoundation.org, help to volunteer, because we're teaching people the law for free. We don't want anything from you. If you want to give us donation so that we can help, train more people, that's great. But right now, we just need you to come to us so that we can teach you the law, and you can go out there and help teach that to your community. We ain't asking nothing from you, but your commitment to learn the law. That's all we need from you. And then we'll teach you everything else. So appreciate you for that.
Can't beat that. Listen, the name of that restaurant is in Inglewood. It's called Stuff I Eat.
I never heard of it. I went to Inglewood High.
Yeah, Stuff I Eat, and it's in Inglewood. So easy to look it up. You need to check them out and let us know.
It's funny. That's where I shoot the show every week. When I shoot
really?
The Zoe Williams show.
So that's where I first saw you. Gosh, how many years ago was that with the Moorish thing?
That was 2015.
Yeah,
that was 2015 when
I watched you on So What.
Gosh. That's in Inglewood where we shoot that show. So I didn't even know. So actually, maybe next Monday We'll roll through there.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for it. Yeah. Today's an anniversary date, not an anniversary, a date that will live in what is it? Infamy for me. 5 years ago today, June 7th, 2017, I felt I ruptured both quad tendons and ended up in the hospital for almost a month, and I've been still coming back from that, having to have surgery on both to repair both quad tendons. I got my foot caught in a manhole cover at the mall, walking to my car, and it pronated me and snapped both quad tendons. And so my trip to the mall ended up with a trip in the ambulance and 21 days in the hospital after the surgery. But it was today. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, I can walk. I mean, I don't walk like I used to walk, but I was like, I guess it's not a real anniversary, but it is a day I'll never forget.
An infamous anniversary. A notorious anniversry.
The notorious Dr. G. Listen, this has been great. Of course, we went over. We just kept talking. I have something that I wanted to play at the end of my things. I just usually show my presentation about chokeberry and stuff like that, and I will put that on. But I have every now and then I get a hold of something that somebody else is doing, and I really want to highlight it. This is the first time I actually did a little promo. I haven't figured out how to make the whole video thing, so I like put promos together by layer and stuff. And a sister named Lisa Carr sent me a product about a month and a half or so ago, and for my hair that I've been trying. And this stuff, as people have been asking me about, I know you about hair, but anywho, so people are saying, "Oh, Dr. G, your hair is growing." And see, my hair is plaited up, so it's actually longer than this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's longer.
Yeah, these twists. And the video I'm going to show you, the little presentation I did, because I want people to know that this sister who watches the show, and I didn't even tell her I was going to do this today, but that she has this awesome product and what it's doing for me. And I think along with having, a loctician with growing hands, Sister Lisa Carr's product is doing like wonders for my hair, making it grow and taking out the dandruff and stuff. And so I just wanted to, as we leave, I'm going to do my commercial, but at the end, but I'm going to put this promo up and see what y'all think, and see, I want to give people their flowers, and so maybe folks will check out her Etsy page. So here's what I'm about to do. I'm about to figure out how to put this together. So stay with me. Don't go nowhere, okay? So first I'm going to put this up. That's Dr. G. That's me, y'all. And then I'm going to play this promo.
Dr. G here to introduce you to a product that I have fallen in love with called GN-rooted botanical hair serum. If you have dryness of the scalp, dandruff, hair loss, graying, just needing your scalp moisturized and needing to have your hair grow, you want to try this product. It is completely natural, vegan, has great, even you can see the herbs in the product. You can see it, it's awesome. It is making my hair grow. A lot of hair growth. Haven't had my hair washed in over a month. Don't have the dryness, don't have the dandruff or any of the things I normally have. Even the gray is starting to diminish, the little patches of gray. Get yourself some GN-rooted botanical hair growth serum by Sister Lisa Carr. I'm going to put the link down so you can get some. You're going to love it. Man, woman, boy, girl, try this product. I love it.
Okay. I'm back now. Figure this out. How to take my little screen off there. Look, y'all have to know that I'm doing what do you call it? This is my way of doing. But this product, like I said, as you can see, my hair, how far my hair was down.
Yeah.
That was a month ago when I did that. I just haven't played it, so I know it's longer. And I've been using my sister's product Oh, you see how they're using it. You can see the herbs and stuff in it. But it's called, right there at the bottom, https://www.etsy.com/shop. And it's called GN Rooted Passion. And I just want to thank the sister for sending me awesome product there. And hopefully
shout out to the sister.
Yes, to Lisa Card. And really, it's really working. It's really, really working. So I mean that. So with that, we're gonna go out with my normal, usual chokeberry promo. Focus. I sent out 7 boxes today. Thank y'all. And hey, if it's working for you, tell somebody that I've got it. And Kevin, you're gonna come back, right? I'm not gonna call you right away. I think the last time you were on was in January. So I give you some space. I just look at you on your line. But
you can hit me. We good. You can hit me up anytime.
I hit you up every time. I thank you. Listen, this was fun. This was fun because I had so many aha moments today. Just like Kapawi. I was like, oh, I see, and I'm seeing like Batman Kapawi. Like that's what that meant. That's what that did. So I like it when I find out my neurons are still firing. Because you get to the
right. We just having a conversation, so that's what it's about.
Oh yeah. So I'm transparent, and I told you this. So this is my funny story for the day that I'm going. So a friend of mine, a former colleague, one of my staff members called me to share some stuff with me today, and it was some wonderful news, and I'm happy for him and all that. But I think I fell asleep during the conversation because I don't remember the conversation ending. And the phone rang, and somebody else called me, and it struck me that Vaughn and I don't remember how my conversation with Vaughn ended, and I think that I may have fallen asleep because I was I was trying to nap before we had this show. But that's a weird feeling.
I get you.
That's a bad feeling when you don't know how you ended the conversation in the middle of the day. It was about 6:45 or something, maybe 7. I think I may have fallen asleep.
You're doing a lot.
I'm putting a shout out to Vaughn, Brother Vaughn Watson. Vaughn, if I fell asleep, it was just because I was tired. But my brain, my neurons are still firing. And tonight you really had them. You really set them off with all of these, information and truths that you share. So I appreciate you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Listen, y'all check out brother Kevin, Know Your Rights Foundation, and realnagas.com. I'm putting up his just before we go out, I want you, if you didn't.
KnowYourRightsFoundation.org.
Yeah, here we go. So make sure if you can get that book of melanin research and the police stop material at www.realnagas.com. I think you said if you buy one thing, you get the other free. Or
if you buy the hard copy, you get the whole police stop law package for free. Oh, we also, I forgot to show you
the cards.
We got flashcards. Police stop.
And this is so you can practice, right?
Practice with you. Sit down with your kids. 30 minutes a day. Volume 1, Volume 2, and next week we also have law and government flashcards coming out. So we're about to teach you the whole thing about this system, so you have no excuses to say, well, we don't know, there was nowhere else for us to go find this information out. Now you can have the information, and you can start to take advantage of the system that's been ruling you and taking advantage of you.
All right. Okay. Well, I said again, I appreciate you, and thank you for hanging out with me for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Appreciate you. Okay. All right. Peace. Thank y'all.
Dr. G, inviting you to get your Chokeberry Plus today. It is that amazing berry, high in antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antiviral properties. It supports and balances the blood pressure, the blood sugar, weight, and cholesterol. Yes, you can get a 2-month supply today by texting CB3L to 302-345-0500. That's CB3L to 302-345-0500. And get on the path to wellness today. You'll be glad you did.